Now, coming to paper 3, there is a lot of area related to technology in which I think you have expertise though of civil engineering, but then there are areas like robotics and artificial engineering. So these areas, the students are really not confirmed about where to read because there is no standard book, and newspapers are the only sources. So what they can do is make notes. So how to prepare notes for science and technology, because over the year it has been seen that not only in mains but also in prelims, the trend of asking questions related to science and technology has gradually increased. So how do you prepare? It is a student's question, especially science and technology area of paper 3.
Yeah. So there are two types of things that you need to cover. First of all, you might be at the outset overwhelmed by the diversity of things that are being asked in the science and technology section. But if you look closely, it is not that wide. I mean, okay, robotics, biotechnology, nanotechnology, these things will occur, and space science. This will occur time and again in prelims, and also about the defense, the new missiles that have been tested by various countries. This will occur frequently. So you know these areas. These areas might be wide in themselves, but UPSC is restricting itself to these areas only. Other than that, there might be stray questions regarding science and technology, like there was a question on Bose-Einstein statistics. That was completely unexpected for everybody, and that is not something that you should be expecting to know in the exam room. Those are questions that you have to write something by your own wit. If I'm being completely honest, that is what I did. In 2018, it came. So you should not go for targeting. You should not target to learn those questions as well as know those topics as well. That will be, once again, not favorable by cost-benefit analysis. But there are certain topics that UPSC has been covering every year. Biotechnology, nanotechnology, space science, defense. These are the things that you should keep an eye out for while reading the newspaper. Make notes of these, whatever new things come. And if you are not comfortable with the subject, just Google it. Spend a day. If you are of the entire year, I'm not saying just before the prelims, of the entire year, spend a day, develop fluency in that subject, develop familiarity with that subject. So next time when it comes in the newspaper, you will not be out of sync with the content that is happening. That is all that needs to be done, and that can be done for any single attempt, and that will help you in your subsequent attempts as well. But do not try to be an expert in science and technology. If such typical questions come, it is better to leave them or write something rather than going for knowing everything. That will not be favorable by cost benefit.
Yeah, I think superficial knowledge is something UPSC is not tolerating these days. If you write, they will not award you marks, and ultimately you will lose out your precious time. And now coming to one another aspect of paper 3, there are students who are asking about the economy, which is sometimes very difficult, but the questions generally figures around some flagship schemes and its implication related to it. So it is said that Economic Survey of India and the budget you must read, but how to use, how to apply that knowledge in your answers? That's one student is asking.
Yeah,
how you extract informations.
That is very true. Budget and economic survey are cardinal documents that have to be read by every aspirant. And personally, I would advise people to not go by the notes. You see, UPSC will never ask you question directly. But what UPSC will do is that pick up the topics that are there in the syllabus, ask you question about them, and you should be smart enough to relate these things, the content of the economic survey, with the topics of exam while you're reading the economic survey. And enough questions appear on various websites regarding the economic survey from mains and prelims perspective, so that can be a help to the candidate. We should review the previous year questions regarding how questions are being framed and keep on pondering about how economic survey can be used. For example, if a question on subsidies come, a couple of years ago, economic survey had a chapter on bounties for the rich. So why shouldn't you use those content? It is very obvious. Then the economic survey in 2015-16, I think, covered something about capital expenditure and how it contributes to the economy, the capital output multiplier. So that thing can be used anywhere and everywhere. And that same survey covered the JAM Trinity, Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile. So these things should be kept ready in mind. You should not think that, okay, I'll mug up the notes from the economic survey and then reproduce them whenever they're relevant. You should make linkages even before the exam. And you should be ready that, okay, if a question comes about this particular subject, then I have this content from the economic survey that has to be used. That is the way you will use it. You cannot rely on your latent memory to make linkages within the exam. Secondly, you have to read the newspaper and throughout the year. That is it. You have to make your own notes. Once you make your notes, you internalize things. And once you internalize things, it is much easier to reproduce rather than going through a flood of summary of some coaching in 3-4 days. It personally happens with me that the slower I learn, the longer I retain. So that is how I did it. That is how it happened with me.
Yeah, this remembers me the story of rabbit and tortoise. Ultimately, tortoise wins.